Hello, it's Lexi at Cozy Tea Cafe over on Bookstagram, and today I'm going to be summarizing Phantasma by Kaylie Smith, which is book 1 in the Wicked Games series. This series is a little bit different than most fantasy series in that it's a series of interconnected standalones, so you don't really need to read Phantasma before you read Enchantra and then Daemonica, which is coming out later this year, but I always think it's helpful to do so. So if you're here just to kind of refresh yourself before you're reading the later books, I'll put the cut points of the information that overlaps in the caption so you can just scroll to that part of the video. This video is going to be full of spoilers, as they all are. If you don't want spoilers for this book, don't continue watching. So we start off in Phantasma after Ophelia and Genevieve Grimm's mother dies. Ophelia performs a spell to inherit her family's necromancer magic, and her eyes turn ice blue like the other necromancer women in her family that came before her, and she discovers a locket with a heartbeat mysteriously around her neck. Throughout her life, Ophelia has heard a shadow voice in her mind that warns and taunts her and acts as a symbol of her OCD. In town, Ophelia starts seeing apparitions now that she's taken over her family's magic. Genevieve sees some friends in town talking about Farrow Henry, one of New Orleans' infamous bachelors, and he's hosting an event later that night, and we learn that Genevieve was supposed to accompany him to his last ball, but he stood her up. Later, the bank informs the sisters that Grimm Manor is in foreclosure and will be demolished in 30 days because their mother stopped making payments months ago. Genevieve wants to move on, but Ophelia refuses to let the manor go, causing Genevieve to storm off. While walking home, Ophelia overhears rumors about the deadly Devil's Manor competition, and at the old cathedral, she finds a massive Gothic estate called Phantasma in its place, and hears the voice of a phantom trapped inside, asking for help, and he cryptically warns that a heart and a key will set him free. Ophelia goes home and sees Genevieve missing, with a note saying that she'll take care of things. And in Genevieve's diary, Ophelia discovers that her sister knew about the family debt and had written the name Gabriel. Ophelia believes Genevieve entered Phantasma, so she goes to the manor to join as well. The devil guarding the entrance explains the rules. Contestants may leave at any time unless they're actively participating in a trial, but to win they must survive all 9 levels and be the last one standing at the end. The price of admission is their greatest fear, and the contestants are warned not to fall in love inside Phantasma. Inside the manor, Ophelia meets contestants Cade and Lucinda, Lucy for short, and their cousins. In her room, she discovers a secret corridor and is guided by a ghost cat and barely escapes a murderous creature. After, she encounters the phantom from inside the manor, and he reveals that he's a phantom, one of the most rare and powerful ghosts. The next morning, Ophelia accidentally summons a whispering gate, which is a void connected to the other side. And the phantom reveals his name is Blackwell and is intrigued when Ophelia mentions that her sister Genevieve is searching for someone named Gabriel. Blackwell offers Ophelia a blood bargain to help her survive the first 5 levels and locate Genevieve after they're allowed to roam Phantasma. If, in exchange, she helps him find the key that's tethering him to Phantasma, but if she fails, he'll claim 10 years off of her life. The first trial begins and simulates limbo through sensory deprivation in a deadly labyrinth. Ophelia survives a hellhound attack using her necromancer abilities, and afterward Cade is suspicious of her powers and attacks her during dinner, but visions of bugs and spiders appear and Blackwell intervenes. Ophelia doesn't listen to Blackwell and is bitten by a serpent while following an illusion of Genevieve. When she nearly dies, she finally accepts Blackwell's blood bargain and he heals her. Together, they begin secretly searching the manor's hidden corridors for his key, and they start to think that Blackwell may have once been immortal and died within Phantasma, which might be why he's a phantom instead of a regular apparition. Jasper, who is the devil overseeing contestants, hints that Blackwell has made similar bargains with contestants in the past, and warns Ophelia about becoming emotionally attached and breaking the number 1 rule of Phantasma. During the second trial, Lust, contestants must indulge in a vice of their choosing before finding an escape route and Ophelia sees people performing all kinds of sinful activities around her. Ophelia sees an illusion of Blackwell, who offers her a potion, and she realizes that she's accidentally chosen bloodlust as her vice, which acts as a slow poison until she drinks someone else's blood and then lets them drink from her. The real Blackwell rescues her and gives her an antidote, then helps her complete the trial. After the trial, Ophelia sees contestant Lucy again, who tells her that she's good friends with Genevieve. As Ophelia and Blackwell continue searching the manor, they discover Gabriel Forever carved into a hidden room floor. And Ophelia confides in Blackwell and tells him about the shadow voice in her mind, and Blackwell reassures her and comforts her. Their attraction deepens, and they hook up as he continues to train her on her new powers, including her specter ability to disappear. In the third trial, Greed, contestants are trapped in cages above a pit of lava where they have to collect weighted gold bars, which make each of their cages rise and fall on large chains, and the objective is to reach the top. Ophelia survives while Cade's greed causes him to fall behind, but he still survives. Afterward, Ophelia and Blackwell finally sleep together. While searching contestant records, Sinclair, another devil, offers Ophelia a deal to leave the competition and escape Blackwell's bargain. He warns that she is uncovering secrets she shouldn't, which means she must be close to finding Blackwell's key, and then he shows her a page in the records that reveals Gabriel White and her mom, Tessie Grimm, competed in Phantasma together, and says Blackwell was hiding this information from her. After Ophelia confronts Blackwell, he reveals that Gabriel was a specter and is Ophelia's father, which is why she has the specter ability as well. He entered Phantasma for a second time recently, right before it arrived in New Orleans. During his second time, he entered into a bargain with Blackwell, but he didn't survive. Blackwell explains that he had a hunch about their connection, but he wasn't sure, so he kept it to himself. In the fourth trial, Gluttony, contestants are transported to a massive checkerboard, and they each have on collars that are attached to the back wall by large chains. 3 gold bars appear in front of them, and 4 players move forward a space to grab them, so a pendulum saw moves towards the 4th player, and she quickly calls for Jasper to make a deal so she doesn't die. On the opposite wall, there are 13 levers, 1 for each contestant, with a check mark above and an X below, correlating to either an advantage or a disadvantage in the next round. Cade pulls Ophelia's lever down, and she uses her specter abilities to turn invisible to remove the collar, but a contestant named Eric tries to attack her, so she tricks him, and he's cleaved by the saw. Ophelia pulls her lever back up and puts Cade's down before she exits. Ophelia and Blackwell sleep together again, and she feels herself falling for him, so she pulls away emotionally so she doesn't break Phantasma's rule. Later, Sinclair tells Ophelia the history of Phantasma and its creator, Salamastris, the Prince of Devils. Salamastris was banned to Phantasma after falling in love against his father's wishes. Sinclair was friends with Salamastris and helped him hide his lover from the King of Devils, so he was banished with him and has been trapped in Phantasma for centuries. He blames Blackwell for ruining his chances of escape and repeatedly tries to convince Ophelia to abandon him, but when she refuses, he traps her in an illusion until Blackwell rescues her. Ophelia barely makes it to the 5th trial of Wrath and Time, and when she gets inside, she sees 2 levers, Forfeit and Wrath. When she pulls the lever for Wrath, a list of each contestant's names are listed, and she presses Cade. In the next room, they see only 7 pedestals for 8 contestants, and learn that everyone chose Cade to die. Cade refuses to die willingly, and they all start to fight for the 7 pedestals until another contestant chooses to forfeit. Blackwell finds Ophelia after the trial and learns that she's been jealous after learning about a devil named Rhea, who was his past lover, and despite their attempts to remain distant, their feelings are continuing to grow for each other. Jasper later reveals what happened to Ophelia's parents after Blackwell bargained 3 years of his memories in exchange for the information. Gabriel and Tessie fell in love inside Phantasma, violating its cardinal rule. They were cursed, so Tessie gradually lost her feelings for Gabriel, while on the other hand, Gabriel became more and more obsessed with her as time went on. To protect herself and their daughters, Tessie bargained with the devil to erase Gabriel's memories of them, but he eventually remembered and entered Phantasma again, trying to reclaim them. Ophelia is scared that Blackwell and her are repeating history, so she conjures the Whispering Gate and speaks with her mom's spirit, who warns her not to fall in love inside Phantasma. Blackwell and Ophelia attempt to distance themselves, and Ophelia hooks up with Sinclair to prove to herself that she doesn't love Blackwell, but she stops before it goes too far, and Rhea sees them. In the sixth trial of deceit, everyone has a true and a false button in front of them, but some contestants have a third option to either skip or random, which is either an advantage or a disadvantage from the levers in level 4. Each contestant is given a prompt about themselves, and everyone has to answer either true or false, and the blood magic will decide the true answer. If the contestants answer correctly, they move on, and if they answer incorrectly, they're crushed by a stone pillar. Lucy and Leon's romantic feelings are exposed, which triggers Lucy to be cursed, so her touch burns the ones that she loves, and she forfeits the competition and leaves. Ophelia sees Blackwell waiting for her in her room, and he confronts her about kissing Sinclair, and he looks devastated. They argue over their feelings, and Ophelia admits Blackwell is the only person she's ever truly cared for romantically, but insists that they can't continue because of the consequences. Leon forfeits, leaving only Ophelia, Charlotte, and Cade for the seventh trial of greed. They're all separated and must choose between taking one coin or all three of them. Anyone who takes one will exit, but whoever chooses to take all of them will fight to the death. Ophelia summons Blackwell and learns that Cade took all of the coins, unsurprisingly, and Charlotte only took one, so she takes them all so she can fight Cade and Charlotte can move on. During their fight, Cade grabs Ophelia's heart locket and her heart physically stops, but she tricks him by fainting and then ultimately kills him and completes the level. Ophelia can now search for Genevieve now that she's past level 7, but she encounters a creature that's a manifestation of the shadow voice from her head, and it says it escaped her mind. She wakes up later and Blackwell reveals that the creature was just an illusion of her greatest fear that she gave up at Phantasma Gates, and he found her in time to heal her because she had ripped open her chest trying to get rid of the vision. Ophelia and Genevieve finally find each other, and Ophelia learns that Genevieve already knew about their parents' history with Phantasma, and Tessie's debt came from purchasing a magically warded second home in case Gabriel ever found them again. Genevieve also reveals she inherited Spectre powers too, but kept them hidden from their mother. The sisters search for Blackwell's key together, but Ophelia is suspicious that Sinclair intentionally helped to reunite them. Before the 8th trial begins, Ophelia convinces Genevieve to forfeit because only one contestant can reach the final level. In the 8th trial, Fraud, Ophelia sees two versions of Genevieve and must identify the real one from the duplicate, and if she chooses wrong, the real Genevieve will die in the real world. Ophelia realizes that this is how her mother must have died, because her father must have chosen wrong when he entered Phantasma the second time. Ophelia realizes that both versions are frauds, and she passes the trial. Ophelia finally reaches the 9th level and sees Blackwell, who reveals his true identity is Salamastris Erasmus Blackwell, the Prince of Devils, and Salem for short. A flashback reveals that centuries earlier, Salem defied his father, the King of Devils, for the woman he loved named Angel. The king found out and tortured her until he learned Salem's full name, which holds power. Then he murdered her and used Salem's full name to curse him to remain trapped in Phantasma without memories of his true identity until he found both the heart and the key. And Sinclair was imprisoned with him because he was Salem's friend. They both learn that Ophelia's heart locket contains the remains of Angel's soul, which is tied to her own soul because she is the reincarnation of Angel, and the king planned to have Angel reborn into the Grimm bloodline 5 centuries later. Every time Phantasma resets, Salem loses his memories again until a contestant reaches the 9th level, and he's able to remember briefly, which is what happened when she heard him through Phantasma's walls. Ophelia realizes the locket itself is Blackwell's key, and she admits that she loves him, meaning she'll be cursed, and she removes the locket to give it to him, which causes her own heart to stop. Salem is finally freed from Phantasma and admits he loves her too, and as the curse begins to take hold, he creates a new heart for Ophelia and tells her that he'll have to leave the mortal world unless he has a tether. He suggests tethering himself to her soul so their life forces would merge and she would essentially become immortal because her lifespan would be tied to his, and he would be able to remain in the mortal world, so she accepts and says that she wants an eternity with him. In the epilogue, Salem uses his restored powers as the Prince of Devils to pay off the Grimm Manor debts, and they both gift Genevieve with a trip abroad to find herself since she's been struggling. Ophelia plans to carve her own legacy within her family business while also researching the locket's origin. So that's where book 1 ends. The third book, Daemonica, comes out later this year, I think in the fall. And if there are any other books you would like me to summarize, please just leave me a comment, and thanks for watching.